Welcome to the Fearlessly Fertile Podcast, episode 310, Fertility Fast Fact. Crisis is the opportunity. Hey, my loves, I'm so excited to be back with you this week to share another Fertility Fast Fact. And all of the things that we're going to be going through together in this series is about helping you find a level of resilience, a level of clarity, a level of resourcefulness that you may not have had prior to listening to this fucking podcast. And I know you in your regular life, you're slaying it at work, you're probably doing real well in your relationships. Maybe you've created a really cool level of success. I serve women all over the world that are absolutely crushing it in their careers. But when it comes to this journey, it throws us for a loop. So some of what I'm going to be sharing with you over this series is breaking down certain concepts that I come across every single time I coach a lovably type A control freaky professional woman who is finding herself struggling on this journey. Now, I know that it is very difficult to feel empowered on this journey, especially if you're over 35, somebody's slapped on the label of advanced maternal age or geriatric on your back. But everything that we're going to be going over in this series is intended to help you find that new gear, that gear that says, yes, I can. So our emphasis this week is going to be on really looking at how we approach crisis. Now, the lawyer in me is like, crisis and exactly what a crisis is certainly up for debate. Okay, I'll give you that much for sure. But when you really care about something, when you're really going for it and you're wearing your heart on your sleeve on this journey, it can feel like everything is a crisis. But the truth is, it's not. But there are legit things that come up for us on this journey that are really, can throw us for a loop. Let's say you've been trying IVF for a while. You get a positive test and then you find out it was a chemical or, like all these things. So we get so worked up, our emotions get yanked up in us. We get excited, we get slapped around, we have a letdown, we have a heartbreak, whatever the case may be. We can find ourselves in what is hands down, no matter how you look at it, basically a crisis. Now, I really want to encourage you in this process, how, I'm sharing with you how crisis is an opportunity to suspend your disbelief for a moment, because there may be part of you that wants to reach into her device and punch me in the face because I'm saying to you that the crisis is the opportunity. And I know that probably sounds like some Pollyanna bullshit coach speech, but I'm really speaking to you from the heart as a woman who had her baby in her 40s, who became more fertile in her 40s naturally than I ever was in my 30s. And I attribute that to the way that I was thinking, because the way that I was thinking absolutely influenced what I believed, therefore the actions and decisions that I made, and ultimately my results, okay? If you have any doubt about this, go listen to the previous 300 plus episodes of the Fearlessly Fertile podcast, including the ones that feature my miracle mamas, okay? This is a principle that women who have any intention of being successful on this journey must embrace. Crisis is an opportunity, okay? So one of the ways that you're going to start to be able to onboard this idea is really start to see crisis as an opportunity to see yourself in a different way. Because crisis often comes into our lives and we immediately see ourselves as a victim. We see ourselves as powerless, as merely the receiver of some bad shit. But the twist here is, if you want to do better on your journey, if you want to set yourself up for success, is you have got to start looking at crisis as an opportunity to find solutions. Okay, and you may be thinking to yourself, Rosanna, I've got enough in my life. I don't want to be looking for solutions. Well, on the other side of solutions is success. Okay, so you've got to be looking for solutions. And most of the time when we're approaching this topic, as I said before, it's like we are victims. But the shift here is really to start to see yourself as a solution seeker. And to say to yourself, okay, here's this thing, here's the situation, here's this crisis. Okay, let me give you an example where, let's say you're doing IVF and your medications are delayed. That can feel like a pretty serious crisis because you're like, well, I need my meds in order to start my cycle, and it gets all thrown off if I don't have my meds on time. Well, yes, indeed, that may be on the surface a crisis, but this gives you an opportunity to start thinking out of the box, thinking resourcefully. When you see yourself as a solution seeker, it's far more empowering than seeing yourself as a victim of FedEx or whoever is delivering your medications. Okay? As a person who sees the truth about herself as having power in her life, the power to seek solutions, the power to seek support from people who can help her solve the problem, you immediately take yourself out of a victim mindset and you can start to see the truth. You are a solution seeker. You are somebody who is gathering people around you to help you solve a problem. This immediately ratchets the level of stress down. Okay, it's so important that you embrace this because it takes you from being a victim to somebody on the road to victory. You get to see your power. Because think about it, in the example that I just gave you, if you are somebody who had their meds delayed, then you can start to say, okay, how can I begin to address this problem? Who are the people that I need to bring into my world right now that can help me solve this? Okay, immediately going into what ifs, seeing yourself 10 years from now, childless, penniless, eaten by wild dogs, none of that is going to help you in that moment. But if instead you shift yourself into saying, okay, I'm a solution seeker. My meds are delayed, so who can help me resolve this problem? Okay, like it is a much different position to be in. Because here's the other thing. When you see yourself as a victim, you will not see opportunities. You're just going to start circling the drain. Woe is me. My life sucks. I never get any breaks. Like, we go down a dark and nasty road that instead of using our time wisely, we use our time to shit all over our dream. Nope. If you're serious about fertility success, sister, you got to get up and get moving. Okay? So if you're going to do that, there's a principle that you have to keep in mind. At the same time as a crisis shows up in your life, the solution must exist at the same time. Okay? Crisis shows up, you better know damn well the solution is there at the same time. The question is, are you going to see it? Now, women who are thinking, believing, and taking action like women who succeed will see the solution. They will see the answer. Now, it doesn't have to be immediate. But when you are a person that is thinking fearlessly and you have the mindset of success on your journey, instead of going into chaos, you will take crisis and move it into solutions. Okay? And so somebody who's really got their head on straight, that's thinking like a woman who succeeds, is going to anchor in the reality that at the same time the crisis exists, the solution must as well at the same time, okay? Just because you don't immediately see it does not mean it doesn't exist. The people are already born who are going to help you. They already exist. There are options. It's all here. Now, think about it. When we have tunnel vision, when we're in panic, that the panic response, the fight or flight, naturally closes our field of vision. Then we can't see the constellation of other things that exist around us. This is the same idea. So if you want to be somebody who can not just get through a crisis, but really allows themselves to approach crises that show up in their life with ease, with confidence, without struggle, with an open heart and the ability to receive, then you will onboard what I'm sharing with you. Because look, if you see a crisis as a way of getting to know yourself better, really finding your inner resources to be able to respond instead of just react to problems, then you're not going to fly off the handle every time something doesn't quite go to plan. You can ask yourself a smarter question. Okay, what's the solution I'm seeking here? Okay, what's the solution that I am seeking here? Because I know that if a crisis shows up, the solution, the answer, the resource that I'm going to need must exist in the same space and time. Think about that. Think about that, ladies. If you don't listen to anything else from this podcast, I am telling you, that simple twist changes everything. It takes you out of woe is me and puts you into Wonder Woman town, okay? To be able to say, hey, if I'm facing a problem, the answer, the solution, the resource that I need must exist at the same time. Let me start looking around. I mean, just saying that. I mean, think about how different it is to approach your fertility journey in that way. I have this problem, therefore, the solution must also exist. I mean, think about how a day in your life would be, especially living this journey, if you believed that. And here's the thing, to see the truth of this, you can just look back at your life. All of these different crises you lived through in your life, there were solutions. And here's the other cool thing. Not every crisis requires your reaction or response. Some things you're just like, okay, my meds aren't going to be here. Okay, we just start another day. And I know that that is going to trample on every last part of your lovably type A control freaky self. But sometimes, depending on the situation, we may have a little bit of leeway here. So instead of going into crisis, when you know, hey, the solution must exist at the same time, it gives you an opportunity to take a breath, take a beat, get some information that you might need, and then know that a solution will show up. It always does. I mean, having spoken to thousands of women all over the world who have faced varying crises, I can tell you, everyone's crisis has been resolved in one way or another. Nobody's still stuck 5 years ago, okay? Life moves on. You move on. The question is ultimately, are you going to move on in an empowered way, or are you so committed to struggle that you can't see that crisis is an opportunity? Now, one more thing I want to share with you on this topic is this journey. I mean, you've heard me say this before. If you've been listening to this podcast for any length of time, you've heard me make the statement that this journey is one of the greatest gifts God, universe, source will ever give you. And I know that at first blush, you're like, fuck you, Roseanne, get out of here. This is all garbage. But I'm going to tell you in no uncertain terms that the woman, the wife, the partner, the mother that you become is going to be shaped by the way you show up to this journey. All of the skills that you are currently learning about resilience, about your ability to overcome, how to think, believe, and take action like a woman who succeeds on this journey, will serve you in motherhood. You can either move into motherhood as a woman who has unshakable confidence, has seen the dragon and lived to tell the tale, or you can limp into motherhood bitter exhausted, victim-y, angry with everyone around you. The choice is ultimately yours. But the crisis, which many of you will see your fertility journey as, and you have a right to see it that way, the crisis, any crisis, is an opportunity to become acquainted with your power to show up, your power to be resourceful, your power to get above the problem so you can get a solution that's at an altitude above the problem. Because here's the other thing. If you try to solve problems from inside the problem, you will get solutions that are just as fucked up as the problem. You want to think at a higher altitude. You want to think at a higher frequency. And if you see crisis as an opportunity to just lose your shit and not rise to the occasion, well, you're going to get solutions like a woman who loses her shit. Okay? Now, none of this is to say that you're supposed to walk through your fertility journey like a fucking drone. Not at all. You don't need to be a drone to win on this journey. In fact, that's the opposite. You are walking on this journey in peace, in purpose, with a deep and abiding conviction and understanding that the desire in your heart to be a mom is there because it was meant for you. And if it was meant for you, at the same time the crisis exists, so does the solution. But the only women that will actually see that and have the wherewithal, the presence of mind to approach crises that way are women who train themselves to think, believe, and take action like a woman who succeeds on this journey. So I hope this has rattled some chains in you and has given you some valuable nuggets with which you can begin to approach crises in a different way. I don't care how big or small the crisis is. I'm telling you, if you remember some of this, you will be better for it. And if you want to be the woman who finally gets and stays pregnant in 2025 and keeps her promises to herself, go to my website, www.frommaybe2baby.com, and apply to be considered for one of my Fearlessly Fertile Method programs. My programs have changed the lives of women all over the world. My methodology has helped women finally get and stay pregnant, beat insane odds, many of which we're looking at less than 1% chance of getting and staying pregnant by any means. And if you want some of that goodness, go to my website, www.frommaybe2baby.com. You cannot separate the mind and the body physiologically. This is one system. The way that you think is part of your health care. And if you are not getting the result that you want on this journey, you cannot afford to ignore what's going on in your mind. www.frommaybe2baby.com, because if you don't have a mindset for success in this journey, baby, you got a gaping hole in your strategy. Let's fix that shit and set you up for mama making success. Till next time, change your mindset, change your results.
Love this episode of the Fearlessly Fertile podcast? Subscribe now and leave an awesome review. Remember, the desire in your heart to be a mom is there because it was meant for you. When it comes to your dreams, keep saying hell yes.